Information provided is for educational purposes only. Opinions presented during this show are those of Justin Fort and or his guests. It is not intended to be specific advice for any particular individual. A decision to execute any financial strategy, investment, or purchase any financial product should be made carefully after a thorough review and evaluation of recommendations and consultation with your investment advisor, representative, and or other tax or legal professional. Investment advisory services are offered through AlphaStar Capital Management, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Fort Wealth Management and AlphaStar Capital Management are separate entities.
And welcome to Retirement Journey with Justin Fort. Well, we have a very different show lined up for you today because the U.S. Department of Labor has dropped its biggest bombshell announcement in over 5 years, maybe its biggest ever. It's their Fiduciary Rule, which will apply to anyone receiving compensation for offering advice on retirement investing within qualified accounts. Of course, myself, Justin Ford, as a certified financial planner professional and a licensed investment advisor representative with a fiduciary duty, we already adhere to this type of rule. Well, today we're going to break down what this new rule really means to you as an individual, and also what it means to you and your family, and what it might mean to employers who sponsor retirement plans like 401ks. Before we get to that, though, there are two things you should know up front about this new fiduciary rule. Well, first, there will be a phase-in period of about a year as planned. Just passing the new rule does not mean you will immediately gain the benefit of working with someone who must put your best interest ahead of his or her own. Some of us already adhere to that standard, like I said, but many financial professionals don't. Second, there is a relaxed standard for existing clients. So even after the phase-in period, there is no guarantee that your current advisor will be living up to the spirit of the new fiduciary rule. For example, well, I met with a woman recently who was very frustrated with her current advisor. Time and time again, she told her advisor that she doesn't want much risk of loss, almost little to none. And she said, something to the effect of, I don't want to lose more than $10,000 in even a bad year from my $850,000 that I have invested. Even with that clear direction, her current advisor had her invested 85% of her money in stocks. Well, that's fairly aggressive in my book. And she, didn't know enough about this stuff to really understand what that meant for her. She just didn't want to lose more than $10,000. And as anyone who really knows anything about this stuff knows that stocks, well, we know that they can lose value, right? And I asked her if her advisor had shown her anything else, some alternatives where maybe her principal could be protected or guaranteed by, say, maybe the federal government or an insurance company or maybe even a bank. And she said no, she hadn't been shown anything like that. Well, I'll tell you this, if she was my client and I had ignored those concerns and those wishes, as blatantly as that, and continued to have her in really what I would feel and felt that really a pretty aggressive model, I'd say, I'd probably be checking my mail for a letter from her lawyer. And that's a scary thing for people in my position with a fiduciary duty to do what's best. I have to listen to my clients. If someone doesn't want to take risk of loss, well, guess what? We can't help them take risk of loss. Whether they understand the investments or not, it's our duty as financial professionals to be professional and know what we're doing to help people get what they want. Well, this is one of the big reasons the Department of Labor has passed this new fiduciary rule. And frankly, it's why I have operated as a licensed fiduciary and investment advisor representative all along. Well, if you feel like you're having a fight with your advisor, like this lady that I talked about, or to get them to do what you really want, but there's pushback and kind of pushing you into situations or investments that you're not really comfortable with, well, just know that at Fort Wealth Management, and there are other firms like ours, we believe our job is to help you get that done the way you want to get that done. And that's what matters most. We have to serve you, your interest ahead of our own. And if that sounds right to you, which it probably does, then you should seek out a licensed financial professional with a fiduciary duty, putting your interest ahead of their own. Of course, you can do that outside of us. I can't speak for other firms. Of course, I'd prefer that you call us because I know what we offer. I know what we do. I know what you're going to get. I can't speak for any other wealth management company as far as what they might offer. But if you call Fort Wealth Management at 1-800-886-5624, we will do our best to help you achieve your vision of financial success, your way. Risk or no risk, more or less. It's at your call. We just have to help you get what you want. Simply put, we believe you know what you want. Our job is to help you get it. If you feel like you're having to argue with your current advisor or pull teeth to get something done, to be in the position you want to be in for your retirement years, don't put up with it. Give us a call at 800-886-5624. We'll sit down, we'll visit, we'll do a review, find out what's really most important to you, and take inventory of where you stand today. All right, so on today's show, we're going to talk about why is there a new fiduciary rule, what it means to you as an investor and for your retirement investments, and what it may mean to you if you're an employer. So maybe you're an employer sponsoring a plan for your employees. What does this mean to you? This part will be especially eye-opening for employees as well. So let's get started, jumping right in. So why is the Department of Labor releasing this new fiduciary rule at this time? Greed, conflicts of interest, mistreatment of retirement-oriented investors, and the predictable mistrust all of this creates. A recent news story from CNBC references a survey of investors. Quote, more than 90% of the respondents said they felt financial services companies were more interested in selling them products than providing advice. End quote. More than 90%. How can this be? That's a terrible sentiment. That looks bad on our industry. That is bad. This needs to be changed. First, some important facts from the retirement planning world. Number one, we're going to talk about compensation models. And number two, licensing of advisors or financial professionals. First, there are basically 4 different ways advisors get compensated. 1, per transaction. Every time someone buys or sells an investment, they get paid by transaction. Well, there could obviously be a conflict of interest in that, right? Because they make money when money moves around. You may not need money moved around, or maybe not moved around so much. Number 2, commission. They get paid only when someone buys something. Well, obviously there could be a conflict of interest there. Do you need to buy that thing? Or is it something they just need to sell? It may not be a bad thing to buy if you really need it, but how do you know the difference? Number 3, percentage of assets under management. Your advisor is in the boat with you, in a sense, where if your portfolio goes up, because they're getting paid a percentage of those assets, well, then their pay goes up. If it goes down, then their pay also goes down. There's less conflict of interest potentially in that kind of a scenario where it's a flat fee. A lot of investment advisories run their operations this way. But of course, there could be a conflict of interest in whether or not they want to see you spending your money in retirement. Think about that. You need to spend your money in retirement. You need a spending plan. Well, if most financial professionals just want you to continue to keep your assets growing in your account, and you don't spend it, who really benefits from that? Maybe they do. Maybe your heirs do. But maybe you won't so much. So that's number 3. Number 4, fee only. They simply charge a fee for whatever they do for you, whether that is writing up a plan, advising you on investments, or facilitating the transactions. They tell you the fee up front. It's generally in writing. They do the agreed work. You pay the fee. That's a final model. Now, there's, of course, other models there, but those are kind of the basic 4. Now, licensing of advisors and professionals. In this case, I'm breaking it down into 2 broad categories. Number 1, license to sell. And number 2, license to advise. Of course, some people, professionals, are licensed to do both. The problem comes when you don't know how your advisor is licensed. Are they licensed to sell or to advise? And how are they really being compensated? Is it by the transaction, by commission, percentage, or fees? Right? None of those are really bad in and of themselves, but I think knowledge is power, and understanding motivations can help you understand whether or not you're getting the best advice for you. The Department of Labor found that there were too many conflicts of interest, though, in these models, and that people you need to trust for help with your retirement accounts were often incentivized, in many ways, to sell you products or generate transactions, which were not always in your best interest, obviously. Billions of dollars were being siphoned away from retirement accounts and into the pockets of companies, advisors, financial professionals, maybe needlessly so. And so the Department of Labor is trying to correct this. That's why the Department of Labor decided that anyone who serves as an advisor to people who are investing for retirement should have a fiduciary duty to put your interests first, not their own. So regardless of how they are licensed or compensated, financial professionals have to do what's best for you first. Now, according to the Department of Labor, trying to put these regulations in place. They want no conflicts of interest, or if there are conflicts of interest, that those conflicts of interest are disclosed ahead of time and you agree to them. Okay? But in a sense, knowledge is power and you should come first. Well, on the surface, that sounds great. I've always liked that model, in fact, and that's why I am and have been a licensed investment advisor representative with a fiduciary duty right from the start. And that's always been my rule working with clients. Your interests come ahead of mine. As an investment advisor representative, we have to do that. If that sounds good to you, if you like that model, that idea, your interests first, well, and you want to have a review, check out what you've got. Is it really what you need, or is it what you were sold? Call Fort Wealth Management at 800-886-5624, 800-886-5624. We'll sit down calmly, have a free, no obligation review of what you've got going on. We'll chat a little bit about your goals and dreams, and if you find your interests have not been coming first, though, you'll learn what you may want to do or can do to correct that. Of course, this checkup is, again, at no charge. The number is 800-886-5624. Well, coming up next, what will this new fiduciary rule mean to you? Also, as you might have guessed, they've cooked in an exception to the new rule. How will it impact you and your retirement savings? That's next here on Retirement Journey with Justin Fort. Retiring today is riddled with challenges. You never know what's next for the stock market. The cost of health care is through the roof. Your Social Security benefits are under attack, and we can't escape 0% interest rates at the bank. Hi, it's Justin Fort, host of the Retirement Journey Show on Talk 1370. Well, we have the solutions. That's why I'm inviting you to a free retirement workshop on May 10th and again on May 12th. This is where you'll learn about up-to-date strategies that could stand up to the challenges facing anyone retiring today. We can help you answer questions like, how much money can you safely withdraw every year? And how do you ensure you don't run out of money too soon? That's May 10th and May 12th. Seating is very limited, so call 800-886-5624. This is strictly an educational event and nothing will be sold. Call 800-886-5624. That's 800-886-5624. And welcome back to Retirement Journey with Justin Fort. Well, we are looking today at the most momentous rule change in retirement planning since ERISA, or otherwise known as the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974. Well, it's the Department of Labor's new fiduciary rule. Recapping the last segment, the world of retirement planning is complex with all the different licensing and compensation models. There was just too much room for conflicts of interest, according to the Department of Labor. Too many advisors were choosing to put their own interests ahead of yours. So the Department of Labor said, enough. Anyone who is compensated directly or indirectly for helping you with your retirement investments would have to now put your interests ahead of their own. Surprise if you didn't already know that wasn't always the case. Of course, this is the principle on which Fort Wealth Management was founded. I'm a licensed investment advisor representative with a fiduciary duty, so none of this is really new to me in how we would operate. We're not going to really have to change much at all. Maybe there's an additional form or two. We'll see how it all plays out. But however, it is widely predicted that many advisors will have to radically change how they do business, or even shut down completely because they're not prepared to do business this way. So what does this all mean to you? Well, first, it's going to take time to get there, probably about a year. There's a phase-in. Next, there will be new paperwork to sign, new disclosures to look at, making sure you really understand what you're getting yourself into investment-wise with any financial planner providing you investment advice with relation to your retirement accounts. Sometimes that could mean you're signing off on an exception to the new rule. An exception. Yes, they just came up with a new rule saying your advisor has to put your interest ahead of theirs, but they may ask you, the financial professional, to allow them an exception. It's called the best interest contract exception. Here's how that might work. Imagine you have a 401k and you want to roll it over to an IRA. The new rule says your advisor cannot earn a commission or even charge a higher percent than you are currently paying for taking those assets under his or her management. That is, unless you both sign a best interest contract, or BIC. The BIC commits your advisor, financial professional, to prove that the recommended action really is in your best interest, despite whatever compensation and inherent conflict of interest may be involved. That may sound weaselly, but think of it like this. What if you're upgrading from the school cafeteria to someplace like Mandola's, the Italian restaurant where we like to do Social Security seminars, it's great food, or Saltgrass Steakhouse? In some cases, that's what it's like switching out of a 401k to an IRA. You could be getting much more flexibility in service, sure, through the IRA, or you may not. If your advisor asks you to sign a best interest contract, he or she is saying they're willing to prove to you and the Department of Labor that although you're paying more in fees, you're going to get more from it, and there's value making it worth it. It's all about getting your money's worth. After all, nothing is free. You're paying something now, and you're always going to pay something if someone's going to be providing you services. Sure, you should know how much and whether it's worth it or not, right? That's why we at Fort Wealth Management have subscribed to the fiduciary standard from the beginning. That's why we put everything in writing, always have. We didn't have to wait for this new rule. We've always felt you should come first. If having a licensed investment advisor representative, certified financial planner professional with a fiduciary duty to put your interests ahead of their own and be on your side sounds good to you, someone who is legally obligated to do said things, then call me, Justin Fort, Fort Wealth Management at 800-886-5624. Again, we will do a free, no obligation, 5-point review. Even throw in a Social Security analysis for you. Okay, no charge. Measuring what you have now against what you'll likely need according to your plan and desires and dreams and goals. We'll let you know if it looks like your interests have been coming first all the while, and maybe they have. Maybe you're paying really low fees and you're getting great service. You've got good value. That could be the case. Maybe not. We don't really see that often, that people are really getting everything that they can get. And so that means there's areas and options for improvement. But wherever you stand now, we'll do our best to show you how your portfolio, retirement suite of assets, and your plan can do the best it can be for you. That's 800-886-5624. Fort Wealth Management, 800-886-5624. Now, when we get back from this next break, what does all this mean to you if you're an employer sponsoring your own in-house retirement plan like a 401k? There's others like the 457. There's a variety of different plan sponsors and plans. Well, we're going to look at what we call the 408B2 rules. You may have heard of them, maybe not. They're the source of a lot of confusion and a lot of lawsuits. Whether you're a participant in a 401k at work, or especially if you're the employer, you don't want to miss what's next. Retiring today is riddled with challenges. You never know what's next for the stock market. The cost of healthcare is through the roof. Your Social Security benefits are under attack, and we can't escape 0% interest rates at the bank. Hi, it's Justin Fort, host of the Retirement Journey Show on Talk 1370. Well, we have the solutions. That's why I'm inviting you to a free retirement workshop on May 10th and again on May 12th. This is where you'll learn about up-to-date strategies that could stand up to the challenges facing anyone retiring today. We can help you answer questions like, how much money can you safely withdraw every year? And how do you ensure you don't run out of money too soon? That's May 10th and May 12th. Seating is very limited, so call 800-886-5624. This is strictly an educational event and nothing will be sold. Call 800-886-5624. That's 800-886-5624. And welcome back to Retirement Journey with Justin Fort. Today, we've been talking about the new Department of Labor Fiduciary Rules and Regulations and what they mean to you as an individual investor planning for your retirement. Well, let's switch gears to a related story, the fiduciary responsibility of the employers out there, the sponsors of 401k plans. Well, over 5 years ago, the Department of Labor approached this problem from the employer's side. That was the 408B2 rule, and it was supposed to make all of the fees and expenses inside of your 401k plans crystal clear. The law was passed, but it was never decidedly figured how to disclose the fees and expenses. This would be something like the IRS telling you to pay some new tax, giving you a crazy long form for reporting it, but not telling you how to figure out how much really you owed. According to the fiduciarynews.com article, quote, the fee disclosures are entirely too long and still do not clearly state what some fees are, end quote. Plan sponsors are, quote, still unclear what the disclosures say and what they are supposed to do with them. I still believe there are many plan sponsors who do not fully understand their responsibilities or the personal liability they are assuming, end quote. So not much progress, but plenty of lawsuits, again, employers. So if you are a plan sponsor and you're not sure where you stand, call me. We help plan sponsors and employers review, analyze, and take a look at the 401k to make sure that you're within the requirements and you're doing everything you can do to do what's best for your employees. I may be able to give you some clarity about how to report properly and so on and so forth. And if you're an employee with a 401k at work and you're not sure you're getting the complete picture, you can also call me as well. I can offer and decipher with our team the fees that you're paying and what other alternatives the employer may be able to look at. You know, employers can always switch providers. That's true. And this isn't because I'm smarter than you or smarter than your employer, but I am trained and I have industry software and a team to help me. Long story short, as an employer, you should know the fees and expenses your employees are being charged. It's your responsibility. You do have some hefty liability. If you need help, get help. If you haven't had a review in years, then probably a good idea is to have a review, at least every few years, right? As an employee, you would be the very rare exception if you actually know what you're paying, from what I've seen personally. And that's why these rules, the 408B2 and the new fiduciary rule from the Department of Labor, are being put in place. Too many people like you have lost far too much money by not knowing important facts about your plan and your investments and the fees you're paying. I'd be honored to help you see clearly what you're paying and what you're getting for your money. call me, Justin Fort of Fort Wealth Management at 800-886-5624. We'll review your personal situation. We can also look at your employer plan that you are maybe the sponsor of. I am already a licensed financial professional with a fiduciary duty to put your interest ahead of our own, and have been for a long time. We'll do a free, no obligation review, and we can often make things very clear very quickly. So call us at 800-886-5624. No reason to delay. It's all part of our 5-pillar approach to retirement planning, really, if you think about it. Income, lifetime income, inflation adjusting income that goes to you or your spouse if you go first. Growth, liquidity, a shield to protect you and your family from calamities, and a legacy to leave money to those you love and hold dear. Because I am licensed professional, putting your interest ahead of our own, you can feel free to give me a call at 800-886-5624, make an appointment, and we will give you the honest truth as far as we possibly can to help you achieve your goals. If I'm right, you probably know what a successful retirement looks like. You don't want to run out of money, of course. You don't want to be eaten alive by inflation or medical bills, of course. And you want to make sure you can leave a legacy to the people and causes you love. Probably, right? Well, that's how we plan at Fort Wealth Management. That, in my opinion, is what makes a happy and successful retirement. You may have a better shot at getting that type of retirement after the new fiduciary rule is fully implemented. Maybe. If your current advisor isn't working under those standards yet, why wait? Pick up the phone and call us at 800-886-5624. Again, that's Fort Wealth Management, 800-886-5624. We look forward to your call and look forward to meeting you. Have a great week.